What's going on, family? Welcome back to another video today, and I'm really excited to talk about how I personally hit a 405 bench press. I'm going to break it down into 5 simple tips you guys can do yourself to implement it to your regimen so you guys can increase your bench press. So the first important point is having a perfect setup to ensure that you can have consistent reps. It's really important that you have those consistent reps because you want to make sure you're most efficient with your bar path. When you're moving up and down, you don't want any of the movement or any of the force wasted through that entire time. So make sure you get into a routine when you are doing your setup. So personally, I like to start with my head, focus where my hands need to be, and then move to my feet. And then focus on getting into the same routine every single time. And as I'm warming up, I'll also practice my reps, even with light weight, as they would be working sets. Through that entire time, lifting is also a skill, so you want to make sure that you're keeping everything consistent to make sure you're getting the most out of your consistent reps, most out of each lift. So the second tip is to increase your bench frequency and increase the variations you are performing. So if you do the regular bench press, you might have a certain sticking point, and what you can do is actually perform different variations to break that sticking point. For example, if your triceps or the lockout of your bench is a little bit harder, you can do close grip bench. Maybe the bottom of your bench press is a little bit harder, where you can do your feet up bench to increase the range of motion there and control the bottom of the bench. So increasing the frequency will help you practice the movement, and also the specificity principle applies here, where if you're doing something more frequently, you're going to improve that motor pattern, you're going to improve that lift as a skill, and you're also going to work the exact muscles you need to improve your bench press. So the next easy tip you can do is to implement supplemental movements that will help your bench press. So after bench press, the rest of the workout also matters. So when you're doing your next exercises, if you do a cable fly next, that's not going to really translate into bench press strength. Whereas if you're doing more of like an OHP, where you're going to get more of a movement pattern of the bench, or if you're doing a close grip bench, or if you're doing an incline bench, those supplemental movements will help your bench press. So generally, I like to do your main movement of the day, if it's the bench or a variation, then you want to follow by 1 to 2 supplemental movements. So some good ones are incline bench press, close grip bench press, barbell overhead press, even incline dumbbell or flat dumbbell. They're a little bit different, but they will still translate more into the bench than they would if you did a dumbbell fly or a cable fly. So the next big tip to improve your bench press that is super easy to do is staying away from failure. Yes, you gotta leave your ego at the door. I know you want to be lifting heavy every single session, because you do gotta lift somewhat heavy to make sure you get stronger, but if you reach failure, you're gonna fry your CNS, where your overall volume is gonna be lower. So what I mean by this is, imagine if you performed bench press, you went heavy as you can, you push it to the max, the continuing sets moving forward are gonna be affected. You're not gonna be able to push as much. Whereas if I stopped 1 to 2 reps before failure, I would be able to do more volume in the future sets. And that's gonna go for day to day if you're hitting it more frequently, week to week, and month to month. Whereas you're gonna accumulate so much more volume over time if you stay away from failure. And the last tip to help increase your bench press is adjust your programming. A lot of people, they go into the gym, they just do whatever they normally do, their routine. It's not even written on paper. They just kind of float to the bench press, float to whatever's next, whatever's opened, and to do whatever. But you want to follow a structured program. You want to see what variables you can adjust to make sure you're working directly towards your goal. Maybe hitting a specific rep range will be more efficient, getting stronger than another rep range. Maybe a certain amount of volume will be more efficient than if you just went in there intuitively trained. Also, what you can do is, if you are following a program, you want to adjust it every 4 to 6 weeks. I don't mean just randomly adjust it, although that could help, but make sure each month, works into each other. So if you guys want to know more about periodization, you guys can comment below. But if you periodize and organize and structure your training regimen, it's going to be a lot more efficient if you just walked in here. There's a lot of power to writing everything into your book, seeing, okay, well, I hit failure this day, next week I got to tone back. Or maybe this movement was a little bit easier, I can push it more here. And then you can make sure you're getting that main movement in. You can make sure you're getting those supplemental movements in, that you're staying away from failure. You can pretty much do everything I've just mentioned by logging it, because you can take notes and write down all your feedback, how you're performing, how you're feeling mentally, and what you can improve if you do track everything and adjust the programming. So at the end of the day, you do want to keep an open mind. Use these tips in general and then adjust them to see what works better for your body, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. But for the most part, I know these tips will help you for sure. And it helped me achieve a 405 bench press, and I know it will help you guys. I think I've repeated myself now, so I appreciate you guys made it this far through the video. Let me know if you guys liked this style of video. Comment in the section below, like it, subscribe, because I got more coming like this in the future.